name is Rick, and this is the Dwarf Fortress of Swampcavern. We have a very special guest today, self-described fellow YouTuber and bad person, Civillain. I'm going to interview
Hello.
her about her experiences
Oh
with
no.
Dwarf Fortress. So hello.
Hello. I was too soon. I was too keen.
Why don't you go
Was
ahead and
happy to
introduce
be here.
yourself before we jump into the questions?
Hello. I'm Civillain, and I scream into the void of the internet. I don't scream. I talk in a nice, calm indoor voice while playing Dwarf Fortress, and I put it on the internet. And some people like to watch that sort of thing.
Well,
Um,
let me ask,
yeah.
how did you get into Dwarf Fortress?
I was trying to remember this. I think I got into Dwarf Fortress, it must have been about 8 years ago when I was 14. So it's all a little bit hazy. So for
Well,
any maths nerds that are watching, I'm 22.
then you've been in it
Um,
from the very beginning.
yeah, I've been playing it it was one of the first games I played. It was a bit of a weird route into gaming. My parents really didn't like me playing games.
Oh,
So it was The Sims, and then it was Minecraft, and then because I didn't have a credit card or debit card or anything, I just had cash, so I had to ask them to buy things for me, and they didn't like buying games. So, but Dwarf Fortress was free, so I think I stumbled across it online on like a probably an article or something because I read and like listened to podcasts a lot more than I actually played games.
ah,
So I like just, this is a free game. Oh gosh, what is this? Well, I've got nothing else to do. I'm a teenager and but not old enough to drink. So
well, so coming into something so complicated as this, how did you learn a game like that?
I I mean my first fortresses were super weird. I learned it from the wiki and from text guides, really. I didn't watch YouTube particularly at the time. So so I just, yeah, text guides, and I built everything quite weird because I hadn't seen a proper fortress. I had been on the forums, like looking at stuff on there, and yeah, it was a weird endeavor, but
Well,
I really enjoy learning how systems work, and I really enjoyed the process of learning it, which is nice.
well, you've kind of answered my next question, which was, were there any YouTubers you used to help learn it from? So, no, not really, and especially not back then, I take it.
No, I think after I'd been playing it for a little while, I then found some YouTube videos, which and after that, how my fortresses looked was a lot more normalized. Because at first, I built everything really tiny, and like I had these little one wide corridors and small rooms, and suddenly I saw that that's not really how most people build fortresses, and you need multiple tile wide corridors, and you can have them all spacious, and it's way nicer.
Oh, I
um,
really relate to that because almost every fort I build bigger and bigger, and sometimes I try to get myself to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like a natural evolution of playing Dwarf Fortresses. You just build bigger and bigger.
well, speaking of which, I guess, do you have a different goal for every fort you build?
100% when I'm doing a YouTube series, because I don't want them to drag on forever. I
Uh,
like when I'm playing a fortress on my own. I don't know if you have the same distinction with YouTube fortresses versus things you just do not for fun, because YouTube's also for fun, but just on your own time.
right,
Because on my own time, they don't need a goal. They can just turn into these massive, like rambling behemoths of fortresses uh, that have been running for hundreds of hours. But I just don't want to put that much time into one fortress on YouTube. I get bored. I feel a bit trapped if I play one fortress for too long.
right.
Um,
You figure if it's not fun for you, it wouldn't be fun for your audience.
exactly. I get bored with them pretty quickly. So I like having a goal so I can say, right, we're doing this. And then I do that, or I fail to do that. And then
Either way,
that's
you're
it.
done.
Yeah.
What is or was your best fort like?
It was Probably in reality, one of those big rambly ones I built without a proper goal when it didn't matter if the game slowed down, even though I was running it on a terrible computer. Something I built when I was like 15 and I had loads of free time
Right.
before I got Steam and all the other games. Yeah, I built. I'd sort of, when I was like bored in lessons in the day, I'd sketch out these designs and then I'd go home and then I'd be like, right, I'm going to build this really cool thing. I was even into a little bit of the Fortress role playing then of, right, this is like going to be a giant underground silo and each floor is going to be a different industry. Or this is going to be, I'm going to build a giant gold temple or something like that.
I really relate to that because to this day I tend to kind of design on graph paper sometimes because I'm like, well, here's going to be the front entrance of my fort and it'll be 5 tiles wide and it'll have a drop on one side where the archers can fire from. So,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, I always love the sense of like style in your videos with like you do this stone sense and there's like it's cool, it looks cool, and you can tell that you put some thought in rather than just. I've gone for an intentionally like organic thing lately with my fortresses.
Yes. Well, you're quite right about that. Some of the stuff I designed, I did do for show, even as I was doing it. But well, so do you remember? I mean, it's been quite some time now, but maybe it stuck with you. Do you remember the first scary monster your forts ever faced?
I don't remember the first monster that would have spawned, but I remember the first monster that attacked my fortress after I was past the point of being a scared, cowardly little chicken and like just closing the drawbridge anytime anything popped up on the map. It's like, close the drawbridge. The first thing where I didn't close the drawbridge, it went very well for me. I still don't really know how to make a military.
Oh.
So it seemed pretty small. It was just this random undead yak. I was like, why is there an undead yak in my fortress? Where did this? I hadn't noticed it. It wandered over to the entrance. I thought, oh, it's just one undead yak. So I got into the kennel, which was near the door because I don't know, it was early on in my fortress. Everything was in a random place. Found a kennel full of puppies, killed all the puppies. It was at this point that I realized that it wasn't just an undead yak, it was also a necromancer, and the yak had been a skeleton that I'd left in a rubbish pile outside the fortress.
Oh no.
So, yeah, the swarm of undead puppies killed everything in the fortress.
See, this game is just capable of generating memorable things like that. It's so bizarre and random.
Yeah, and I honestly, things like that do stick with you, even though that was years ago. That was really early on in me playing Dwarf Fortress. I was 15, 16 years old. I remember it.
Yeah, see,
and it was horrible.
I haven't been playing quite as long as you have. It's been some years now, but yeah, I do have the answer to that question too. Was the first monster in one of my forts ever fought was a giant, and I remember how it went. It attacked a miner, and the miner stuck its pick in the giant's head and killed it. And I always wondered, how did the tiny dwarf do that with the giant? But I pictured it reaching down like to eat the dwarf or something. And the dwarf's like, nope, that's it for you. Well,
it reached down, or that dwarf is really good at jumping.
Oh, I guess either that or it threw the pick and it sailed through the air like a boomerang.
And then it came back and it caught it.
It's a super dwarf.
Hell yeah.
So, have you tried playing on some of the more hostile biomes, such as reanimating or terrifying? And how did that go?
I tried not that long ago, and it didn't make it onto YouTube. I was gonna do my. I made this evil wizard video, which was just gonna be a fun one-off. Like, I've been very into trying new things with all the paint stuff and the weird narration-y things. So I was trying that out. And the first time I tried that, I tried doing it in a hostile biome, and there wasn't enough content to make a YouTube video before all the dwarves died. It was 10 minutes maybe of real time. Just because I've been playing for many years doesn't mean that I haven't played it consistently for that time. I
Well,
probably don't have that many hours.
I have a follow-up question that probably
Yeah.
dovetails nicely with that, which is, how do your forts usually end?
So, I mean, there's kind of separate like categories there again. I feel when I start a YouTube series, I'm not always good at it. Sometimes I don't do this, but I feel like I should try and give things a proper ending. Like if I'm playing a game, not many people are watching it, I'll still try and go through to the end of the game for the people that are. So I try to. So if it's a YouTube fort, I'll probably kill them all. Like I'll do something intentionally stupid that causes the downfall of the fortress. I'll just intentionally, do bad things.
Well, I remember the ending of the Lava Cult series. I thought that
Yes.
was particularly well done, actually.
Thank you. Thank you. Because, I don't want to feel trapped with the series, but I also want to give them a nice ending. And I mean, killing a fortress is something you can do at any time, really,
Well, I
if
feel
you
like there's a
want to.
proud tradition. There's people who talk of eventually suspending their entire underground fortress on a single pillar, and then when they're done with the fort, they pull the pillar out. Boom, goodbye,
Oh, I
fort.
love that. I love that. I don't
So,
know if you've had the same evolution. When I first started playing, everything was really precious, and I was really scared of like losing. And I used to turtle my fortresses up with all these drawbridges. But I really enjoyed the game more since I just chilled out about the whole thing. I don't know. Do you
well,
fight really hard to keep your fortresses, or do you?
I turtle up kind of, but even now, I mean, currently, my fortresses have about a 50-50 success rate in that half of them will live for many years until I get bored with them and just give up or retire them. And the other half are killed by, a giant cave spider that crawled into an unfinished staircase. Or I got too brave versus the goblins and I killed too many of my warriors with that. And then the giant cave spider crawled in the unfinished staircase. So even now, I turtle up a little, but I don't go too crazy with it, and I'm willing to take my lumps, I guess is the way I'd put that. And
Yeah.
so sometimes they do fail, but so
That's how it is. I mean, I think part of the way that I learned to play the game when I was 14 using only like text guides and the wiki was that I made the game really easy for myself. It's one of those games where you can make it kind of easy for yourself. I mean, once you get past the UI and things, you
yeah,
can
if you
just
just dig in and close the door and you're kind of self-contained, pretty much nothing can get to you.
yeah, doors, drawbridges, cage traps, and you're kind of pretty safe.
Right.
So then it's just managing the economy and that sort of thing.
Right.
So it's kind of a game. If you really wanted to have a fortress that lived forever, that probably wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm saying that, and that's not.
No,
But
but also it wouldn't be interesting or fun. That's
exactly.
well, have you ever had a fort fail in a way that was funny or unusual?
I think I've put most of them on YouTube, but there's a lot of chaotic endings to fortresses on YouTube. The only one I remember is the undead yak situation. Other ones, mostly I've just got bored of them.
Right.
Because especially when I first started playing, I was a bit of a coward. I would build these super safe fortresses it took me a while to get away from spamming cage traps. So they didn't really like fail. They just sort of, I got bored and they died a frame rate death.
Oh, right, right. Well,
I'm sorry I don't have a fun story for that.
so that's kind of a no. Well,
No,
eh,
I like, I've had some fun ones, but I've put most of those on the internet. Poor Lava
Right.
Cult. There was the Seaside Resort. I invited the circus to, and then a Hydra showed up, and then I think like a siege showed up at the same time. So we had this fun 3-way fight. There was an undead siege that got me in a recent fortress. I don't know.
I think the 3-way fight counts. That I don't think a lot of people have seen that. I don't know that I have. I once tried to fight the circus, and it was the one time my military decided just to not show up. It's almost like they knew what was going on. They're like, "You want us to do what? I need some sleep."
I quit. Yeah, it's I've never actually successfully fought the circus. It's just a thing I do when I've had enough fortress.
Okay,
I've never really tried.
Let's invite the clowns in. Let's see what they do. Even though we
it's
know
enough of this. Let's see what happens.
That's it for you guys. Yeah. Well, have you had any memorable dwarves from the games you've played? Anything that sticks with you?
I remember kind of the only dwarves that I remember are dwarves from when the fortress is like really small and probably a fortress that failed early due to like a freak occurrence. I find that I'm just not quite detail oriented enough when I play, especially these days, to remember a lot about individual dwarves. And I can talk about things in my series, but I don't know. I feel like I'm shilling myself. Like in my latest YouTube series, I had this dwarf do this cool thing. I don't remember from before. I only play it for YouTube these days. I don't remember from before I did it for YouTube. I think, like in my current fortress, my little dwarf Dorkling, he's gone and he's fought 100 elves by himself or whatever.
Wow.
And he won. I sent him off on a one-man raid to start a war with the elves, and he won the raid.
He was just a tremendous success.
It was a great success. He killed an elf. He ambushed a load of them, massively outnumbered. It's just because elves suck, though, so I don't want to give him too much credit.
Well, yeah, I know. They're all wearing wooden armor and carrying wooden weapons, and the dwarves with their metal stuff can probably just chop through that like it wasn't there.
It's possible I equipped him with armor before he went. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. I can't recall.
Maybe he was happened to be wearing some.
Maybe he found some on the way.
Well, that's just it. I swear they show up with things that you didn't buy, or they just somehow they find these things. Literally, in some cases. I've seen dwarves walk to the edge of the screen and retrieve things from off screen. And like, how did you even do that?
The world ends there. There's nothing there.
Yeah, exactly. Except that the caravan was destroyed one square off screen, and they could stand one square away and still take things from it, or something, is my only guess.
That sounds like a great looting racket for getting caravans.
So at this point, I'm just thinking of being silly based off of your YouTube name, but bonus optional question. Are you actually a civil villain? Because I'm going to be a tiny bit disappointed somehow if you don't have plans for world domination and your own secret volcano lair.
Well, it's not a secret volcano lair. It's a secret underwater base for starters.
Oh, wonderful.
There's only so many volcanoes in the world. So you're narrowing your location down a lot if you set up in a volcano.
Considerations for evil lairs. Very good.
Underwater base. It looks just as cool. You can have all these sharks and piranhas and things, but way more landmass. Not landmass. Sea mass. Which
and I can see why you wouldn't want to give away the location of your secret underwater lair.
Yes.
So I suppose you're not going to give us any clues about that. That's it.
No, top secret. And the YouTube videos are obviously part of the scheme. So, it's subtle brainwashing,
there's
recruiting
your world
people.
Domination.
Step 1, recruit your minions. It's a big minion recruitment drive.
Oh, well, you know what? I would be honored to be one of your minions any day. I support your cause.
Thank you. It's working. It's working already.
Well, At this point, I think I'm going to end the interview, but I can tell we're going to do this again more and soon. So,
Thank you so much.
no,
Thanks.
thank you, Civillain. This has been wonderful. So,
Thank
I'll,
you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like fantasy, castles, or design, check out this video about a fully furnished fantasy castle made in Minecraft. YouTube thinks you will like one of my videos, so that's up there. My tutorials have been doing really well lately, so check those out. If you'd like to see more of my videos, subscribe and hit the bell icon because I'm not popular enough to be found any other way yet.